Hello and welcome to Let's Talk About It. I am Chris Meadows. I am the president of Harvest Girls International Incorporated in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I am excited to come to you today on our talk show, Let's Talk About It. We're going to talk about a few issues here. I know last month was Women's Empowerment Month or International Women's Month, and we had some young ladies on that was giving us a great perspective of womanhood and the things that empower women. And so I wanted them to come back. However, we didn't get one of our ladies back, but we'll get her on at another time. But I'm excited to come today just to have a little chit chat about a subject that I wanted to share out loud with everyone in our listening audience. First of all, this is sponsored by Harvest Girls International Incorporated. Harvest Girls International is a women's empowerment organization designed with you in mind. At Harvest Girls International, we empower women to celebrate the journey and young girls ages 9 through 17 with the power to dream. You can reach us at www.harvestgirls.com. So let's get started. I'm going to ask our ladies to introduce themselves to you. First, I'm going to ask Wesley. Introduce yourself again, Wesley, and tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Wesley Waddies. Thanks for having me on your show again. I actually had a non-for-profit called Beneath God's Wings, and it helps women and children of domestic violence. So I love teaching and talking about life skills and self-love. So, and now I am a teacher at school. I 88, and that's a little bit about me.
Awesome, a
So,
teacher. It's great to have a teacher on. Jeanette, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, my name is Jeanette Jackson, and shout out to School 88. That's my elementary school. I currently serve as a human resource director in a municipality for government. I worked with Harvest Girls for quite some years now. I love and enjoy working with young women, teens, and providing a need and service to youth in however way I can help them and assist them.
Awesome. So we left off talking about self-love, right? So we said we wanted to come back and just touch that up. So this is the topic that I want to talk about, and we're just going to take a few moments, maybe about 20 minutes or so, just to talk about this topic and how it ties into self-love. And so the topic today is I choose me. It's okay to say I choose me. I choose me is the first step to self-love. You know, I often think, and I use this a lot when I'm teaching, I often think about the flight attendant that says, if the pressure should drop in the cabin and the mask, the oxygen mask would come down, put the mask on yourself first, and then you can assist others. Such as it is in life. Before you can actually really be the assistance or the love or the help that you need to be to other people, you have to put the mask, oxygen mask on yourself first. You have to revive yourself first so that you can reach out and help others. I choose me. I want to talk a little bit about I choose me and self-love. So I choose me sometimes is very difficult for women because, you know, first of all, once we become a mother, once we become a wife, once we become a caregiver even, sometimes we put our lives on the back burner ourselves, our own health sometimes we put on the back burner. But we cannot be holistic or effective even with our own lives until we choose ourselves first. I just kind of wanted to choosing yourself first validates your own thinking. It validates your own potential and your own possibility. And without validating yourself first in anything, that brings about low self-esteem, no confidence, not feeling feeling good about yourself. Ladies, here's what I want to have you chime in at. And I'm going to start with Jeanette. What is your take on self-love pertaining to I choose me?
My take on love on I choose me. You mentioned about motherhood, wife, caretaker, all those things do they allow us not to take care of self first and choosing ourselves first. And I don't think it's just by intentionally doing it, but it's because we put ourselves on the back burner to take care of others first. And so for me, the love piece, and I've had to reevaluate this even within the past few weeks, is saying, stop. You are just you. You are one person. You have to invest in yourself and by any means necessary. And I've learned that no matter what, and that's with your physical health, mental health, and that's all part of loving yourself. So the mental health, whether you have someone to talk to, a therapist, taking care of your mental health, the spiritual, filling yourself with words of wisdom, the word of God, asking for guidance, the physical piece, taking care of self, what you're putting in and out of your body, uh, taking care of yourself in terms of working out. I am guilty. I'm not consistent with that part, but I said, you know what? For my own self, I am choosing me this time, regardless of how much it may cost me. So when you invest in yourself, because we spend so much money on other things, I said, why not treat myself for my own self-care, my own self-love? And that's what it looks like for me with the love piece. And it hits home, especially within a couple of weeks. So for me, that's what the love piece looks like. And it's okay to say no to things. It is okay to say no to others. And it is okay to walk away and just say, you choose you, because your peace, your sanity is important in making sure that that's all how you're caring and loving for yourself. And again, speaking positivity into your own life, because you are just you. No one can take care of yourself but you.
Very good. I love it. So, ladies, we're just going to talk and you guys can chime in whenever you feel something. If it hits you, just come on in with it and change the subject, even if you want to, because I want it to be a environment where we can just feel like, we're just really talking like girls. Wesley, come on, give us your take.
Well, when I look at loving me and choosing me, um, it's not selfish to put Westland first. I've been a mother, I am a wife, I work, and there are days where I just say, you know what? I'm going to get my hair done. I'm going to get my nails done. And this is Westland Day, taking care of me. Because I've had a rough past, as I shared before. And so I've learned to just say, no has become my best friend. And
Hmm.
it's not personal. It's just taking care of Westland and knowing my boundaries. And that, to me, having those boundaries is part of my self-care too, saying, okay, you know what, I don't want to overextend myself. So I'm going to set this boundary and say, okay, my limit is this, and this, to say, okay, I'm not going to stress myself out. I have to work out. I have to, like Jeanette was saying, we have to take care of our physical, mental, and spiritual. So there are days where, I just check out and say, okay, this is a me day. And, I'll pick up with you guys after my time is up. Because if we don't take care of, like you said, if we don't put the mask on ourselves first, we are no good for anybody else. And as
Right.
a teacher, we're pulled on all day long. We're dealing with different, attitudes and different things that are being thrown at us all day long. And it's like when I come home, I just want to decompress. So my time
Yeah.
is to just change my clothes. Before I even cook, before I knew anything, I just sit down and say, okay, I got to do this for me for about 5 or 10 minutes before I could move on. So that, to me, that's loving me. And, the spiritual is taking that prayer time in the morning before I go to work, and then in the evening before I go to bed. So.
And so,
What?
and then too, I wanted to talk to the segue in from that to how does choosing me support our mental health? Because what I'm finding, we do a lot of the things that you ladies said, which are absolutely awesome things. But our young girls, and that I'm finding, there are a lot of emotional stresses
Mhm.
there and a lot of mental health issues there. Now we know when I'm talking about mental health, I'm not talking about the deep seated ones. I'm talking about the ones that the depression of the light depression, where we just feel like, oh, I feel down today, or I feel, how does I choose me? How do we get into, what can we do to help our mentality, our mental health? We talked about our physical health and that, but what can we do about the mental health part? And I know both of you ladies could probably touch on this, or whichever one wants to go.
Well, I think counseling is one that helped me on the mental and the depression, because when I lost my parents 9 months apart, when my dad passed, I took care of my mother. And that, caregiving is really, it wears on the caregiver just as well as everybody else. And so for me, I just had to go get some counseling. That was my time to just say, if I don't come out of this depression or this funk that I'm in, then I'm going to sink lower. And so to me, it was putting myself first and loving myself to say, hey, I've got to get my mental psyche together before I can even, before I fall apart, because there were days I didn't want to get out of the bed after I lost both of my parents. And I was like, I just can't do it. But I had to tell myself that, you know what, Wesleyan, God is going to let you see them again. Go get yourself some help, And so if I didn't get some help, I probably wouldn't be where I am now. So I know a lot of people were raised, we were raised to say what goes in this house stays in this house. But we have to break that cycle and let these young people know that wisdom tells us to go get, God uses these people too, or whoever your higher being is, can use these people to help you get yourself back on track and get your mind together, because it's been a lot for 2 years too.
Yeah.
And with that being said, you spoke about the therapy piece. You talk about just taking that time away for you. Sometimes with the younger people, they feel like, who do I talk to? Because you can't always just pick up a phone and call a therapist, because you don't know what that looks like. So I would encourage people to find someone at your school, whether it's a school counselor, a teacher, someone that you trust, that you feel like you can just, even if it was 10 minutes out of the day, to find that time to love yourself and just to speak with someone about things that are going on with you, with your mental health, that will at least provide some insight to that person, who can then possibly help you more beyond what they're able to do in the school setting. And it's so true, about the counseling piece. Sometimes we put so much on ourselves and saying we can handle it, or, we may talk it out with a good friend, and, good friends will listen, but they're not trained to be a therapist or a counselor to provide different services for us to help us be able to push along, and how to deal with, like you said, grief or depression. So finding those outlets and finding someone who specializes in that, that's important as well. But at least for the younger age, start with those counselors at school or a teacher. And as you said, like, I feel like sometimes I need somebody to talk to. So I've actually taken the extra steps to go talk to a therapist myself.
Yeah,
So,
That's right.
because it helps you know that you're not alone. And that's what you need
That's
to
the main thing.
understand. You are not alone in this, and you are not the only one who is going through whatever that you're dealing with. And how can we help you come out of this, and you be able to see the light at the end of that tunnel where you're at temporarily? And what can we do to help you change that? And even if it's like, again, 10, 15 minutes of your day, and you have to just be persistent and with yourself. Like you said, you told yourself to get up out that bed.
Yes.
So
and
that's
I also wanted to just say about, what if we wake up, say we just waking up having a bad day. We're not choosing ourselves when we first get out of the bed. I love the song by Mary J. Blige, Good Morning Gorgeous.
Yeah.
I love the words to that song. Oh my goodness. I've used that for myself, and then because I play it because I love the words. And I also have used it as one of the sessions for our young girls. And I am going to use it also for the women at some point. But what if we just wake up one day, like Mary is talking about, and we just say, we're not choosing ourselves that day. What can we do, or how can we shift ourselves to just get to that mindset, no matter what's going on in our lives, I still choose me. Because that's the big thing that I'm
Yeah.
hearing from a lot of women and young girls.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I
hard.
think too. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeanette.
No, go ahead. I was just
Oh,
saying that's sometimes hard.
And,
Not a
and, and I was just going to say that that's a powerful piece there, and that's something to really think and process about. Because I know this morning I woke up. I had a morning. I was like, oh my God. I wasn't thinking about it, but my body knows that Mother's Day is coming. So this
Mhm,
morning I had a breakdown in the shower. I was like, oh my
mhm,
God, and I was like, where did this come from? But my body knows these things.
mhm,
So I
mhm.
had to just tell myself, okay, Wesleyan, get it out and let's start our day the right way.
Mhm.
Just keep it moving. And so, but what I do, and I intentionally, and I think we all do this at our school, is when the girls come in, we're like, good morning, beautiful, good morning.
right.
And I think, we really have to speak that into our kids because
Mhm.
they hear
Yes.
so much negative stuff. So
Yes.
Yes.
every morning, even if it's just we're wearing masks, but we're like, hey, good morning, how are you today? Hey, beautiful. And I think that helps their self-esteem, and it
Mhm.
helps it
Yes.
helps you be able to be a blessing to somebody else. And sometimes they bless you and they just run up to you and give you a hug because, that's just what they need.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
these girls aren't being told to believe in yourself and love. Well, I wouldn't say all of them, but most of them aren't being taught to, believe in yourself and you can do whatever you want. So we have to, as adults, that know better, because not everybody
Right.
knows better, to teach our kids, hey, good morning, beautiful, have a good day and stuff like that. So I think that's one thing that I love about being in the school is that I can encourage these young girls and be like, hey, beautiful. And they are beautiful. They come in
Yes.
with these barrettes in their hair and all these braids and stuff, and they're just as cute as they can be. So that's my thing too. Is when I start out bad, I still got to speak to myself and say, okay, Weston, you got to keep it moving, pull it together.
Yeah,
So,
that self-talk to me is huge
So
yes.
because it's the story that you're telling yourself about you anyway. And
that's
so
right.
you have to, sometimes we have to retell that story again
Yeah.
to ourselves. We're not our circumstance. Our
That's it.
circumstance is what has happened to us or what we've gone through. It's not who we are. And
That's right.
sometimes we try to take on the identity of the circumstance because we feel like, well, this is because I know when I got a divorce, I said, okay, I'm a divorcee. Okay, I'm a single mom. I was taking on the identity of the status,
Yep.
but that wasn't who I really was. And it wasn't
Mhm.
until I had to identify
Right.
the real me. I had to choose me at some
Mhm.
point to
Yes.
find out who the real me was and have that person stand up in me and become that person. Then I could become who I needed to others. Like Wesleyan was saying, she can say, good morning, beautiful, good morning, because that was something that had to stand up in her. And,
Right.
Wesleyan, dealt with depression and low self-esteem at one point due to her circumstance.
Right.
And she realized that she wasn't her circumstance. And now that she realizes that, now you're in there helping those young girls and those students to realize who they really are because you have realized who you are. And that's how the cycle works. It's
Yeah.
you build yourself up so that you can help build up somebody else.
That's
Yeah.
it.
That's
Yeah.
really good. And
Mhm.
Wesleyan, you were just mentioning just those few simple words that you would say to those young ladies. That sometimes that's all they need to hear. And
Yeah.
just know that one person just, oh, they actually noticed me today.
Yes.
So that's important. And I just, for myself, sometimes, and I don't know about you all, sometimes you have to write down something positive, a positive affirmation, put it
Yeah.
on your mirror, put it in your purse, something to just remind yourself like a positive thought, something like, you got this today. You're
Mhm.
amazing, girl. Go out there and shine. Keep letting your light
Mhm.
shine. Something, anything that's so little and small. It's just a minor thing. Some people take a marker and write it on their mirrors in their
Yeah.
bathroom, or so something to remind you every single day, just as a reminder and a visual
Yeah.
Yeah.
to
I do
see.
that. I do
Yeah.
that for the women and the young girls. I say, take the Post-it notes or cut you some strips of paper and some
Right.
tape and paste on that mirror, put it on that mirror and just write, like you said, notes to yourself. And I send myself text messages.
I know that's
I
right.
have to, I
That's
send
a good
myself
one.
text messages
That's a good
because
one.
sometimes nobody's talking to me and
Yeah.
nobody's saying, good morning, gorgeous. Hey girl, how you doing? I have to talk to myself. And so I will send myself a text message. or I will
Yeah.
find something online that inspires and
Yeah.
speaks to me and send it to myself. And
Yeah.
sometimes I will make, I will use my screensaver on my phone or on my computer to put the thought of the day for myself. You have to choose yourself every day,
Yeah.
even when you don't feel like choosing yourself.
That's right.
You know, you have
And
to push through sometimes. And like you said, there are people there to help us. Ladies, I wanted to talk about this is the one thing that I wanted to talk about that did not come up for me until later in life. When I chose myself, when I started to empower and impact myself, and I said, what does that look like? And we talked about health, and we talked about self-talk, and we talked about the mental support, emotional support. But I want to talk about finances. When you love yourself and you choose yourself, you get them finances together. I remember when I was going through my go through and my depression and all of that, I couldn't even balance a checkbook because my mind was all over the place. And once you decide to choose yourself, you leave no stone unturned. Many times we talk about getting together the mental, the physical, and the outer appearance, but we never talk about getting that pocketbook together. You know, that's old. I'm saying pocketbook. But we get that pocketbook together. And so, that is one thing that I am looking at a lot of young ladies, entrepreneurs. I'm looking at them and they're doing credit repair classes and teaching them, and they're pulling themselves up. And I just want to say that's part of choosing you. Choosing you is saying, look, I may not have a lot of money, but this money got to line up and get in order. So ladies, can you kind of talk about that a little bit?
Sure. You want to go first, Janelle?
Oh, thank you. So that is so important, and we would, again, speaking about the younger and even in high school, you're not taught how to manage your money. You're not given these opportunities, basic one-on-one, what to do when you get a job. Do you put all your money away and go spend it? In the same way with the self-care, sometimes the spending of the money you thought was self-care and just going to spend it all in shopping, but that's not really the self-care part of it. And then just taking care of your finances, when you get to a point of where you feel financially stable, you feel like you have control. And when you have control, then you have more leverage.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest.
Yes, that's true.
I really didn't feel powerful in every aspect until I got my money together, got my money right. It was a lack of confidence in something in me. You know, I had everything else looking really good. I got that emotional thing together, that mental thing together, working on that physical all the time. But, you know, just getting that together. But then the last thing that I knew that I said, what is it? It wasn't until I got that together, I walked in the fullness, because it was a wholeness there of my power.
Because there's a burden.
I was so ecstatic to see my credit report say, when it was saying, how do you pay monthly? And every bill was exceptional, exceptional, exceptional. And I started checking my credit report because I was scared to check it for so long because I didn't have the confidence. And I didn't have the, not only the confidence, but I didn't know how to fix it. And so I say what would you say? I'd say, what would you ladies say to women out there who choose themselves, and yet they're now choosing their finances to get themselves together?
And you know, that's a big piece, and that's very important. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because, you know, we didn't talk about that. But when you get your finances right, that takes that burden and that worry and that fear off of you. And that's when you feel more in control, because you're like, okay, I know if I put this $20 every payday, like my days tell me, you pay yourself 10%, pay the church 10%, and then you pay your bills. So you have to pay yourself. And I thank God my dad taught me that, because when I bought my first condo as a single mother, sorry, my cat, Um, but when I bought my first house as a single mother, I felt financially free. Now, did I still have issues? Yes, but not pickles. And so I just had to learn to just say, okay, I'm gonna do this. So I'm not gonna go shopping this weekend. That's taking care of me. It's saying I've got to be able to sustain now.
Right. Good steward of your finances.
Yes. And once I
Yeah.
sustained that, then it really helped my life get in order.
Yeah.
So it does lift
But
that
how does it
burden.
make you feel? Because this is the thing for me. It made me feel powerful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it felt like every area was covered.
Mhm.
Once, the mental, the boundaries, the health, working on the physical, the appearance, and you get all of that. And then when I just felt powerful. Now it wasn't like I felt like I had it all in under control,
Right.
but it gave me a newfound expectation on life to know that, there's nothing worse. And I'm just gonna be honest. There's nothing worse to me than not being able to pay your bills. That's a horrible feeling. I felt so insecure during those years that I did not know from month to month how I was going to pay the light bill or just or they're going to come and turn my lights off today. That kind of thing. And so I want women to even at an early age to know financial literacy is part of choosing yourself. Choosing yourself and loving yourself. Yeah.
And like you were saying, but with getting your finances together is that financial freedom.
Yes.
It's freedom. Because
yes, the cat does not want to stay out, right?
I know, right? Great, come get him. And so he's got to make his little entrance there. But that it's free. Like you were alluding to, it's financial freedom. And so once you get that right, then okay, then you can start building on top of what you're starting to say. And it is financial freedom. I mean, I was in the same boat. I was a single mother and I'm like, oh my God, so I have this condo and everything now. How are we going to live, going forward? And so that made me have to tighten everything up. Because, being a single mother, you have clothes, school clothes, you got, clothes because they grow. You got to have food, you got to have transportation and everything. So once I knew I got that together, I felt free, I just felt like, okay, we can handle this, but it's teaching them early. I had the advantage of working at a bank as a younger woman. So I taught my son money and I taught him, I bought him a bank home and different things like that too. So to try to teach him, and we had little books back then to teach them on financial, savings and stuff like that too. So it helped me a lot, but I still struggle with it because, we still, life happens,
But the biggest thing I think about it today is we're smarter because we chose to address it, and we chose to not be afraid of it and not let it have power over us. Because I used to let my finances have total power over me. I was terrified to answer the phone years and years ago before caller ID because I thought a bill collector was calling. And some people maybe have never been through that, but I have. But I will say that once you get a hold of it, it does not have a hold of you. So that's just one of the things that I just kind of want to talk about. Jeanette, did you have anything else you want to add to that before we move on to our last subject before we end?
No,
So Jeanette's frozen just a little bit. So we're just gonna see if we can move forward. Maybe she'll unthaw okay, she just unthawed. But I just want to, on a closing note, on a closing note, while you're still moving, Jeanette, just end us up on your final analysis or your final say on loving yourself, choosing you. What would you say to any young girl or
take care
woman?
of you first. If you don't take care of you, choose you first, and it is okay to choose you first. Also, it's okay to say no.
Good. Wesley?
I froze.
Yeah, you did.
Well, I agree totally with Jeanette. I mean, and when I choose to love me and put me first, it's saying no, trying to learn how to set boundaries for yourself, to say, I can only handle so much on my plate right now. And when you set those boundaries, that helps with your self-care, but also just make sure, just soak your own feet and work on your own health. And once we make a little, if we take a mile, if we take an inch, we can keep going a mile. So we just need to really put ourselves first, set our boundaries, learn how to say no, and just you'll see your life change exponentially.
Mhm. So one other last thought. Let's just leave them with, um, no matter where they're at in life, because everybody's in a different space and a different situation. And the current state of the United States has left many of us in a state that we never thought we'd be in. Many people have lost their homes. Many people lost their jobs. There's a lot of women who may not know what the next moment looks like. I mean, what could we say to them to keep them choosing themselves first? Because I would say to them that keep choosing yourself first and keep pushing past the obstacles, because remember, your situation is not who you are. It is what has happened to you. There is a light at the end of this tunnel. And I know that most of the women, we are so resilient. I hear stories all the time, and these women are bounce back women. And you are too. If you're listening, you're out there, you're a bounce back woman. You are resilient. It is in you. Everything that you need is inside of you. And I know that right now it looks bleak, and it doesn't look like that it may turn out even any kind of way. You think that the hope may even be gone. But I ask you to hold on to change, CHANGE, and that is creating hope and newfound great expectations. Every day you wake up, self-talk, no matter what the situation is. Keep moving forward, no matter what that forward looks like. And I guarantee you, your prayer life, changing, talking to God about your problems, and then moving your feet. My girlfriend tells me, she said, pray with your feet. A lot of people say pray, and then they just sit still, pray and get them moving.
Keep moving.
So Wesley, just one final thought, and then Jeanette, one final thought.
I would just say, just push through the pain, because sometimes it's painful, but we just got to keep going and know that there's so much information out there that we need to just be our own advocates sometimes. Just take that initiative. That's putting yourself first. It's just doing your research and finding. Don't be afraid to ask for what you need. Find what you need.
Jeanette, let's see if we can get through this without freezing.
I don't know if we can. Can you? Are we good?
We're good.
Okay, awesome. So I would just say, it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
It is okay. It is okay to ask for help. There are resources and people who are willing to help you when you feel like you're at your wit's end. And believe me, you are not alone.
Yeah.
There are people who will stand with you. There are people who have gone through and came through whatever you are going through. So it is okay to get help, ask for help, and take time for you, even if it's 10, 15 minutes a day. Take time to sit in that car, decompress, sit in the room, close the door, spend time with yourself. Whatever it may be, just be intentional about it.
That's good. That's good. Well, ladies, I think we've done the best that we could do today. And in the short amount of time that we had, I thank you so much for coming on the show. You may just be my panel here. You might just be the ones that I'm going to be calling on to discuss some of these things, because I feel like there's so many topics out there that I would like to share with the listening audience. And I just want to say to the listening audience, please like, share, and subscribe so that you can know when we're on and when we're discussing. And remember, no matter what you're going through and no matter what has happened to you, transformation always begins with you. You can turn it around if you give it to God, and God will definitely turn it around. Have a blessed day, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.